Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mino Mornings. I'm your host for Mino, aka Mino, and you are mingling with Mino in the mornings. How's everybody doing today? If you're watching for the first time live, go ahead and drop the word live in the comments, okay? And if you are watching a replay, go ahead and drop again in the comments, okay? So again, if you are watching for the first time, go ahead and drop the word live in the comments. And if you are watching a replay, go ahead and drop again in the comments, okay? Drop the word again in the comments, all right? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Yes, I am so excited to be doing these episodes of Mornings with Mino. Okay, I definitely am excited. Like I said, my podcast is coming up in August of 2021. Okay, the date is still to be determined. However, I will try and get that out to you guys as soon as I can. Okay, again, the reason why I'm doing Mornings with Mino and Mingling with Mino, the podcast, is because I want to mingle with and motivate the masses in any which way that I can. Okay, I'm a mental health professional. It's what I do for a living. I'm a case manager at a group home. And so I inspire people every day to overcome their barriers that they face with mental health. And so that's what I want to do for you guys. I want to have that opportunity to mingle with and motivate you guys. Okay, specifically to increase your personal growth efforts. I definitely want you guys to be inspired to go beyond what you've already done in life. You know what I mean? To incorporate new things, new skills, new ideas into your personal growth. Okay, that's what I want to do for you guys. And any way, again, that I can improve, or any way that I can spread my message a little better, go ahead and communicate with me. Contact me using the comments, using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Okay, I got some interaction on Twitter from a couple different people who are doing their own podcasts and everything, because that's what I like to do. I like to just interact with fellow podcasters and just get bits and pieces of advice. Since this is going to be my very first podcast, you guys. This is my very first podcast, Mingling with Mino, the podcast, okay? I mean, if you consider Mornings with Mino a podcast, I typically, I'll say Mornings with Mino is a podcast, but at the same time, I feel like it's more so a combination of a podcast than a video log, okay? A vlog, if you will. And so, I communicate with different people in order to get, different ideas, different pieces of content, different topics to incorporate into my content. And so, it's very helpful. It's very helpful to interact. And, that's part of my efforts to mingle with, and motivate the masses, in turn, I also, give them bits and pieces of advice. I give them reviews. I let them know about their content. I actually was listening to a couple of podcasts this past week. I listened to this story podcast. Oh my gosh, the Weaver of Podcasts. Okay, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching. But yeah, the Weaver of Podcasts. Oh my gosh, you are amazing. Okay, at your stories. The Weaver of Podcasts actually does ghost stories. Okay, and so if you guys know me pretty well, and if I've mentioned this before, I actually one of my favorites, if not my favorite genre of movies, is thrillers. Okay, and it's so funny because with thrillers, you think you might think horror, you might think suspense, and I feel like in a way that's counterproductive to me for having that interest. specifically because like I let you guys know, I suffer from anxiety. And so when you think of suspense, when you think of thrillers, I feel like in some way, shape, or form, like they are anxiety inducing. You know what I mean? Um, so it's very weird. I feel that I have that interest in thriller movies. So yeah, and so when she tells these ghost stories and stuff like that, it makes me kind of think of thrillers. The ghost stories not aren't always necessarily like horror stories. Um, this past story that I listened to from her. Again, thank you so much, the Weaver of podcast, the Weaver of Tales podcast. Um, yes, you are amazing, and I hope that I'm saying that right, the Weaver of Tales podcast, because like I said, you just do such amazing work. I encourage you guys to follow her. I listen to her on Apple Podcasts, so. I encourage you guys to do so as well. Because, like I said, I'm Team iPhone now, which I mean, I like iPhones, Androids. I'm not very picky. I've had iPhones and Androids throughout time. So neither one is, more appealing than the other in my book. But yeah, if you get a chance, definitely listen to her, the Weaver of Tales podcast. She does different types of ghost stories, and it's not like your normal ghost stories that you might hear at like campfires or anything like that. So yeah, if you guys get that chance, definitely check her out. So I'm going to say a positive affirmation, after I just blurb, for a couple of minutes, just random thoughts that I have. So my positive affirmation is actually going to come from another podcast that I listened to the other day, and it's called The Mindset. The Mindset. I believe it's The Mindset. And yeah, like I'll probably talk a little bit more about his podcast. I'm trying to think of his name. Forgot his name. But yeah, the Mindset podcast. I listened to that, and oh my gosh, like I cannot wait to listen to other episodes. And so with the Mindset podcast, pretty much it's another podcast that inspires like motivation, inspiration, and just like specifically in the area again of your personal growth. In many different areas, whether it be financial, whether it be spiritual, whether it be mental. I definitely got those, feelings like when I was listening to the podcast. And so my positive affirmation is going to be, despite my lack of vision, or no, I'm not even gonna say it like that. I'm gonna say it in, in the way that I wanted to originally. So, despite me wearing glasses, my vision is always going to be 2020. Okay, despite me wearing glasses, or for those of you that don't wear glasses, despite my distortion in sight, despite my distortion in sight, my vision is still going to be 2020. Okay. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Of course, you guys know I wear glasses. I'm gonna put them on. Yep, I wear glasses. Okay. I've been wearing glasses for years. I've been wearing glasses since I was in elementary school, and I want to say I was like 5 or 6. when I started wearing glasses. Like, yeah, 5 or 6. Okay, so yeah, I've been wearing glasses for a very long time. So, as you have probably concluded, my vision without glasses, you know, it sucks. Okay. Um, and I'm gonna actually, before I use the word vision, I'm going to actually replace the word vision with sight. Okay. Um, so my sight without glasses, it sucks. It sucks. It's not 2020. My sight is far from 2020. And I wouldn't say far from 2020. I can still see things. I just can't you know make out like words like in the distance or pictures in the distance and everything like that. So with my glasses, of course, it corrects my vision. Um, and I'm able to see. I'm able to see pretty well, with my glasses. Okay. Um, so in the case when I talk about having poor sight and everything like that, um, to people, I let them know like I feel like some people are like, oh, I wish that I had better vision, and some days I'm not gonna lie, I wish I wish I did have better vision and everything like that. Um, but I also tell people that I feel like if I were able to have better sight, I wouldn't truly be me. You know what I mean? In a way, like I wouldn't truly be me because, like, for years I've worn glasses. For years I've had this vision. So and it's like without my glasses and without my sight that I have right now, I feel like I wouldn't truly be me. You know what I mean? Um, it wouldn't because I feel like obviously, like having poor sight, I definitely would say it would be a barrier. You know what I mean? But I feel like, with that being said, it's one of my personal barriers. You know what I mean? It's personable to me. Okay. Um, and so I feel like that's definitely important for people to understand that despite our barriers that we have to overcome daily, I feel like that's what shapes our overall vision of what we want to be one day. You know what I mean? Um, and so I'm gonna go back to the podcast, the mindset podcast. Okay, because like I said, amazing work. And as soon as I figure out his name, I will let you guys know because I want you guys to check that out. Okay, if you want, if you have any time and everything like that, check that out on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Okay, um, but in his episode that I was listening to, um, he asked several questions. He asked, "Where do you see yourself in 12 months?" Then he asked, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years?" And I feel like a lot of people, probably have a sense of where they see themselves in the future. But I feel like they don't, always have like specific ideas. They don't always have specific career paths. They don't always have specific mindsets, you know. And I feel like a lot of the reason why people do not have those specific ideas and those specific mindsets, um, or those perceived mindsets or those perceived ideas, those perceived environments of where they're going to be in X amount of time, I feel like one of the reasons is because they are stuck in the present. They are living their lives in the present and not always thinking about the future. You know, as we know, we can't predict the future. I mean, well, and I'm not going to say that. We can predict the future. I'll take that back. I retract my statement. We can predict the future. But we cannot absolutely be sure of what to expect in the future. So we might have these predictions. We might have, these ideas of what the future might be like and everything like that. I feel like all of these technological advances, they started off as ideas of what the future will be like. They started off as these ideas that people had in the past. Okay. And when I say past, I mean past. The words past, present, and future are relative. Okay. So in those individuals' lives, in their past, which obviously at the point where they were making these ideas and everything like that, obviously that would be their present at the time. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of other people that don't think about the future as much, or think about their vision, if you will. I think that they're stuck in their present. They are stuck in the present. They're stuck in their present time where they're experiencing their challenges, their barriers, their transgressions, their fears, their anxiety, their depression. They are stuck in the present. And they're not thinking about their vision in the future. So they might not be able, or they might think that they are not able to answer the questions. Where do I see myself in 12 months, in 5 years, in 10 years? So I feel like, and let me go to me. Let me come back to me. Let me go to me. Listening to this podcast, again, the Mindset podcast, as I was listening, I was thinking about those questions, because he wanted us to journal. He wanted us, or write it down on a piece of paper. And when I was listening to the podcast, I was actually on the bus, because and I'll tell you guys about that in a minute as to why I was taking the bus the other day. But listening to the podcast, I thought of those questions. I thought of where I saw myself in 12 months, where I saw myself in 5 years, and where I saw myself in 10 years. Okay. So 12 months from now, I would be 26. I'd be 26, almost 27. Okay. 12 months from now, I feel like I would still be in Chicago, Illinois. Okay. It's where I live right now. 12 months from now, I would imagine that I would still be working at the group home. Hopefully, I would be working at the group home. Hopefully, there's no unforeseeable circumstances that, unforeseeable negative circumstances that would displace me from my job at the group home, if you will. And so, I see that's where I see myself in 12 months. I feel like I would, still be somewhat financially stable. Hopefully I would be living in my 1-bedroom apartment instead of my studio. But that's where I see myself in 12 months. 5 years from now, I'd be 30, and I'd be about 30, turning 31. Okay. 5 years from now, I feel like I may or may not be in Chicago. I know that, I've definitely had thoughts of moving, out of the city of Chicago, later down the line and everything like that. So definitely years from now, and even moving out of the country. I've thought of moving out of the country to, Canada, maybe even Europe. I was looking at some places in Europe. Um, you know, shoot, maybe even south of the border. You know, maybe like I don't know, Argentina, Venezuela. Hopefully, if I move south of the border or anywhere that I live, hopefully it's in a place um, that has a pretty standard climate, and stuff like that. Cost of living is relatively affordable. Hopefully, all of those things, all those factors play into wherever I live. Um, I definitely feel like I would still be doing, England with Mino. Hopefully, my podcast would uh, it would take off. Oh, it just got really hot in here. I'm so sorry, you guys. It just got really hot in my house because outside it is sunny. If you check my Instagram and Facebook, I went for a run earlier. It was wonderful. Okay. Sorry. Side note. Um, but yeah, 5 years from now, may or may not be in Chicago. Definitely planning on continuing mingling with Mino. Hopefully, it takes off in the way that I want it to take off. And I feel like I would be pretty financially stable. Wouldn't be the richest person in the world, but I would definitely be comfortable. And in 10 years, I would be 35 and almost 36. 35 on the way to 36. And I imagine myself to still be financially stable, still comfortable. But I also imagine myself having kids. At least one child. At least one child. Um, I've always, said that like I've wanted twins. And I kind of still do. I still kind of want to have twins. Specifically a boy and a girl. Yeah. And I was actually thinking about that the other day. About children, because I see all of the cute little children out, enjoying the sun and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? I'd love to be a father. Not right now. Not right now. But I definitely would love to be a father one day. I definitely imagine that I would not necessarily enjoy the stress of being a parent, but at the same time, I would be comfortable. I would be in that routine. I would be in that mindset. There will definitely be several times where I want to pull my hair out. Good thing I shaved my head, when I did, and maybe by that time I might have longer hair. Maybe I will decide to grow my hair back out, and then if I do, again, I'd be more likely to pull it out with children. But again, I wouldn't enjoy the stress, but I'd be comfortable with that stress. Okay. So those are, a couple of little predictions that I have about my future in 12 months, 5 years, and 10 years. Okay. And so what I challenge you guys to do, everybody that's, viewing and listening to me, I challenge you guys to think about those questions. Okay. Where do you see yourself? And you don't have to necessarily say like, 12 months. You could say 6 months. You could say 24 months, so 2 years. You could say 3 years. But I want you to choose a couple different lengths of time. Um, a couple different lengths of time, and I want you to think about where you see yourself. Okay, I definitely want you guys to think about that, and I would love for you guys to share it with me again on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook, even in the comments on my Mingling with Mino channel. Okay, I definitely want to hear what you guys have, because I feel like that would be interesting to see where what people are predicting in their lives ahead. And it's also amazing to see how sometimes our ideas, they change, or they evolve over time and everything like that, where in which we have one way of thinking, 6 months ago, and then in the course of 6 months, our thinking changes. You know what I mean? And maybe even it takes longer for people. Maybe it'll take a year or a couple of years for your ideas or your mindset to change. But I feel like that's something that we each have to think about at one point or another in our lives. Just because I feel like that's all part of establishing a plan to evolve as a person, to evolve as an individual, to think about those questions like, where do we see ourselves in 12 months? Where do we see ourselves in 2 years, 3 years? I definitely think that we have to ask ourselves these questions from time to time. Okay, so I challenge you guys to do that, okay? Again, think of a period of time, think of a length of time in which you would want to compare, like the past and the present, the past and the future, or the present and the future. Definitely, definitely do that. I want to, and I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys have to offer. Okay. Before I head off of here, I just wanted to say a couple of final remarks. Again, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Original Mingler, okay, for more motivational and inspirational contents. All right. And just different elements of my life. Definitely chat with me. Let me know what I can do, to again assist you guys in your personal growth efforts. Also, if you can, like I said, definitely answer those questions. Definitely answer those questions. I always love your guys' feedback. It's amazing. It helps me. This is amazing. This is amazing. How I'm seeing people are actually listening to my content and everything. It's amazing that this project that I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's taking off in the way that I want it to. Slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Okay. So I definitely encourage you guys to provide that feedback for me. You guys are amazing. I love you guys so much. I am going to head off of here. I'm gonna, gonna enjoy my day, my Thursday. Cannot wait for Friday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Let me know what you're gonna do on the weekend. Okay, maybe that'll give me some ideas of what to do on the weekend. All right, it's mainly probably gonna just be working on the podcast and just enjoying my home, my lovely abode. Okay. But yes, like I said, definitely let me know what you guys think of those questions. Okay. And like I said, my positive affirmation for today is going to be, despite my wearing glasses, my vision is always going to be 2020. Okay. Despite me wearing glasses, my vision is always going to be 2020. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you next Tuesday at 12:30 p.m., 11:30 a.m. Central Time, only on the Mingling with Mino YouTube channel. Okay? And, again, check out Mornings with Mino, hashtag Mino Mornings, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. Central Time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now, and continue to mingle with and motivate the masses.